All right, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at Masters of the Universe Masterverse Revelations He-Man. This is another one from the Masterverse line, which, if you're not familiar, is a subsect of the Master Universe toy line that was released recently that is like supposed to be, putting out like kind of high-end detailed action figures of like different iterations of He-Man throughout the years. Whereas so far, it's pretty much only been stuff from Revelations because that's what's new and relevant right now. But in concept, it is supposed to have like other things at some point. But yeah, here's a He-Man himself, and yeah, it's a fairly good looking action figure. He's got some nice paintwork on the hair here to kind of pick it out. Nice face sculpt. The eyes, I think, look pretty good. I feel like messing up the eyes even a little bit could like really ruin the whole thing, and I feel like that works fairly well. Pretty standard in terms of posability, like the other two that we've looked at so far. The head is on a ball joint here. I think like probably like two ball joints on a stick that you can kind of like move his head forward and back a little bit. Just due to the shape of his hair and stuff, you don't get a tremendous amount of movement, but it does feel like it's more than just one singular joint on there. The shoulders can rotate all around like that, bend up like that. He's got a bicep swivel, 90, well, not 90. He's got a nice double jointed elbow curl here, although, this side with the bracer kind of messes with that, but you can get about that far. Comes with a few different hands, but they're all the same posability. They can just rotate on the peg that they're plugged in by, and have a little hinge side to side there. He's got this mid like torso joint that it doesn't have a tremendous amount of movement, but just enough to kind of like give him a little bit more expression in any of his stances. He's got a waist cut right there, which works fairly well. Although, like if you rotate it too far to the side, then it's like doing that action figure thing where like it feels like his body's been cut in half. Whereas like when it's just straightforward, that's where it like actually feels like it looks the most natural. The hips, they're about the same as Skeletor's, which were way too tight. Although the like it seems like the internal joints are that same kind of softer plastic, but the joints themselves are not quite as tight, so it doesn't feel quite as scary to move. So you can bring them out to the side like that, forward like that. Although there's only so much that the loincloth can kind of stretch out of the way. Back about that far. He's got a thigh swivel here, which again does that action figure thing where it doesn't really look good when the muscles aren't like lined up. So it's like you can get a like, little tiny bit of movement before it looks kind of weird. He's got a double jointed knee, which gives him a nice deep curl there. A boot cut here, which looks fairly good, I think, just because of his like furry boots that like it kind of looks like it works no matter what. I mean, unless you're like twisting his foot backwards or anything like that. But I mean, the connection between the boot and the leg looks fairly good in any position. His feet can tilt forward and back, and then they have that that kind of rotation joint that also changes the angle a little bit. So like the only way to like tilt his feet is to kind of rotate them, and then you can kind of like rotate this to compensate. And especially since that looks good from fairly any angle, that works pretty well on him. But yeah, he's got some good detail on him. I guess I wasn't really paying that close attention in Revelations. Does he only have the one wrist thing and then just the bracer on the other side? I found that kind of strange when I got him, but it relatively works well. You can take this off if you want. If you just remove one of the hands there, you can slide that off. But it looks a little strange to have him not have the other wrist guard thing there. So I generally leave that on. In terms of accessories, like I said before, he does come with a couple different hands here. So he comes with the two holding things hands, which are what I have on him right now. And then for his left hand, he comes with a little just like open hand like that. And for his right hand, he comes with a closed fist. Then obviously he does come with his sword, which he can hold in either hand. It's like a little tough to stretch the fingers around it. Like it feels a little bit scary when you're doing it, but like I generally am just going to leave the sword in that hand. And that if I wanted him to have, a closed fist without the hand, you could just remove the hand with the sword still attached and then plug the fist on instead. So it's like you only really need to do it once or twice. And then he comes with his shield. Now the shield, mine, I'm not sure if this is like intentional to get him on it or if this was supposed to be glued down there, but this piece is like super loose in this connection here and just doesn't really fit. And like I feel like I'm probably gonna glue it after this video, because like you don't really need to have this like extended out to put the shield on him. You can just like slide his hand into it all right, and then if the hand is really getting in the way, you could just take the hand off and then reattach it afterwards. But like as it is right now, when I get it attached and like get this second strap in his hand, it doesn't, can't really close around his arm, and it always has like that kind of going on, which is ugly and doesn't look very good. So I'm probably just gonna glue that afterwards, because I feel like, you know, there still would be a way to get that off of his arm even if that piece is glued like that, because you could just take off the hand and then slide off the bracer or whatever. But yeah, that's a little strange. I'm not sure. Again, like I'm genuinely not sure if that's like an actual design decision, or like there was supposed to be glue there and just wasn't on my copy. Because I don't like see any like extra glue residue or anything like that, so it doesn't seem like it's just like a popped glue joint. It seems like there isn't glue there at all, and there really should have been, because that does not look particularly good. But yeah, that's pretty much all to say about him for himself. Here he is, just for size comparison. I'll bring on Mossman and Skeletor here, the other two that I have from this first wave of Masterverse. I've seen Evelyn. I'm probably not going to get that one. I'm going to be kind of picky and choosy about which figures I want from this line, just because like the majority of my Masters of the Universe collection is the Origin figures, and that's kind of like my main focus. But had to have E-Man and Skeletor, and I do like Mossman a lot. So those are the ones that I got from this wave. And in addition to that, I also got, here, let me put his hands out from the other side. I also got Battle Cat, and you know, they look fairly good together. What's kind of strange is like, just because like the way that his hips work and the loincloth and how it's like kind of a firmer, you know, rubbery plastic. Like I've tried and I can't really get him to sit on Battle Cat in any like particularly good looking way. Like, because his legs end up like splayed way out to the side like that, which looks weird from a frontal angle. It's kind of hard to show with my setup here, but like I'm sure if you really worked with it, then you could get it to look good. But like it doesn't help that the loincloth just kind of gets in the way, so he's not like actually sitting fully on the saddle there. So I don't know. I feel like as a display, he looks better just kind of standing alongside Battle Cat rather than actually riding, which is somewhat of a bummer. But you know, they still look good together like that. It is just kind of sad that they don't look especially good when he's actually on Battle Cat. For other size comparisons, just for some standard stuff, here he is with a deluxe Transformer. There's side swipes, so you can see they're pretty tall action figures. Here he is with a pop vinyl, you know, something that most people have a sense of scale for. And here he is with Origins He-Man. So you can see, you know, more of like a standard 6-inch action figure, and then He-Man is like 7.25 inches. And yeah, I mean, it definitely works as a more like, you know, realistic take, whereas like this is more of like a toyetic take. This is more of like a representation of what he looks like in media, and that one is more, you know, accurate to the old toy. But yeah, he's a fairly solid figure overall. Probably my least favorite of the three of them that I have, but you know, that's just because like I do like to have He-Man for my collection, but like of the Masters of the Universe designs, like He-Man is kind of one of the more boring ones, at least to me, because it's just like barbarian man, whereas like Skeletor or like a Moss Monster are more interesting to me personally. But that's just a personal personal preference thing. I guess worth mentioning is like you could, I think, if you wanted to, get the clasps open on his armor and take that off. And they've also decided to give him that more like H design rather than the like cross design that was on the original toy. Like this is generally what he has in most media, so like it's nice that they did that for this. But yeah, there's, you know, really not a tremendous amount more to say about this figure. I think he looks fairly good. He feels like a little bit more like sturdy joints wise than Skeletor, but probably not as much as Mossman. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Without further ado, here we have Masters of the Universe Masterverse Revelations He-Man.